Here we go, guys. Welcome back. This is going to be game number 3 here between... Why is it Meaty Owl Legs again? DDE. This is 6 Jacks DDE, not Meaty Owl Legs. This name change is killing me. Game number 3 here between 6 Jacks DDE and WhiteRa. And this time we are here on Shattered Temple. DDE spawning in the 12 o'clock position as our Red Terran player. And then down over here in the 6 o'clock Yellow Protoss player is WhiteRa. WhiteRa winning the first 2 games in the series between these two players. We are really going to see, we're going to need to see DDE really step up his game to get back in this. WhiteRa has just been doing some fantastic economic harass. In the first game, we saw very nicely placed Zealot bombs early on in the game, followed up with continued harass to the economy of DDE, and that allowed him to win that game pretty effectively, even though DDE managed to snipe out a few of WhiteRa's expansions. The economy damage was so severe, he really had a hard time recovering from that. And then last game, WhiteRa going for Fast Dark Templar. It gets scouted out by DDE. He denies the initial push, but we see some more Prism harass again, this time with Dark Templar and Zealots. And again, more economic damage, something that DDE just couldn't handle. One big turning point as well, there was a very strong push from DDE that could have very well taken out WhiteRa's natural expansion and allowed him to actually get himself in the game and potentially come back to win it. But WhiteRa fantastically was able to defend against that, and that pretty much secured his victory at that point. So there you go. That's a little recap of those first 2 games. Here we are once more, game number 3. We do have WhiteRa first dropping down that gateway, then moving out with his scouting worker. Firstly, he will be checking the 9 o'clock position. Upon realizing that DDE is not here, he should be moving straight to the 12 o'clock, and that will put him right in the midst of DDE's base. The first barracks is finished, and DDE will be going 1 racks fast expand. We can see no refineries here. That's the telling sign. We will be seeing that command center dropped very shortly. First, though, the first Marine will come out, as well as that orbital command, and it looks like WhiteRa will get the scout off, so WhiteRa will be fully prepared for the fact that DDE is going for that quick expand, spotting the first gas, moving over, spotting the second gas, and then pulling back right now. Marine coming out, unfortunately, won't be there quick enough to be able to actually kill off that probe, and WhiteRa safely heading back home. Back over here, we do have DD moving out with his scout. Has yet to find WhiteRa's base. However, he should be moving right over there just about now. Now, once more, WhiteRa scouting at that expansion. Wouldn't be too surprised if we saw a Nexus get placed right now, and it looks like that is exactly what will be happening. WhiteRa, upon realizing DDE's 1 racks expand was coming, decides I'll just go 1 gate expand as well, or might as well. Really no reason not to, so there you go. First, Cybernex Core. If Cybernex Core is done, first Stalker should be coming on through right now as soon as he gets those 150 extra resources, and there it is. First Stalker coming out, that will be chrono boosted through. Here comes that Warp Gate research as well. Now back over here for DDE. What will we be seeing here? As expected, there's the expansion. We have got 3 additional racks coming out, putting him in a total of 4 barracks. Still no refinery right now, so just will be relying on Marines and bunkers early game as defense. Now realize, without bunkers, this is actually very dangerous because Marines, incredibly susceptible to Stalker fire early on. Pushing out with just a few Stalkers, if your Terran opponent has nothing but Marines and you just kite, you're at a tremendous advantage. We can see here Stalker sitting with a range of 6, and then we take a look at the Marine range of 5. So with that extra range advantage, you're actually able to stay out of the range of the Marine fire with just a little bit of micro and soften up, if not kill, a lot of those Marines early in the game. Now, unfortunately, though, walking by the high ground, that's precisely what you don't want to do. Try to avoid doing something like that. WhiteRa, unfortunately, with a little bit of miss micro there. He's going to allow his shields to charge up a little bit, though, and I do expect him to actually move back in to try to soften up a few more Marines and get a little bit more damage off. However, we are seeing DD come out with a pretty hefty amount of Marines, and in about a second or 2, once this next wave does come through, he will have enough to actually bypass the Stalker and target fire it down before he runs away. Unless WhiteRa spots that, needs to be careful. There's the micro right now from DDE. WhiteRa spotting it, is aware of what's coming, so this should allow him to respond and pull back with that Stalker before it gets too dangerous. As long as he's paying attention to the Stalker and doesn't get caught by surprise, then he should be all set. So there we go. Marines moving down. WhiteRa should be pulling back. Yes, he is, and he is A-okay right now. Again, has that speed advantage, has that range advantage. Really nothing stopping him from heading back home safely, though he still wants to try to get a few more shots off. I mean, why not, right? Soften up those Marines just a little bit more. WhiteRa managing to get down his expansion at the same time as DDE. In fact, a little bit earlier, we are seeing that saturation go down, and that should be giving him a slight economic advantage at this point in the game. 3 gateways out already. Here comes a robotics right now as well for WhiteRa. We do have a second stalker joining the mix, and again, just against these Marines, these stalkers actually feeling pretty comfortable as long as they stay out of the range. And this is pretty stalker heavy, and this is actually really dangerous for DDE. As long as WhiteRa does that micro that's necessary, he should be able to do a lot of damage right now. Needs to be careful of losing 1 stalker already. Stalker's very low on shields and actually trying to turn around and head back home. He's going to be getting cornered back here. 1 Marine, though, that gets taken out quickly. And DDE should be... oh, he's going to target fire the low ones. Very, very tough situation. However, overall, you can see WhiteRa comfortable being the aggressor in this situation for the reason I mentioned. Speed advantage, range advantage. You just need to make sure those Marines don't get within range as they are now. But again, WhiteRa sitting with a huge advantage in terms of army size, able to just stay there, take the damage, and take all those Marines out. So now WhiteRa moving across the map with these 5 stalkers. Let's take a look here. DDE significantly behind at this point in the game. WhiteRa going to be trying to do some damage, but walking into the bunker will be enough to actually force him back. Plus, we do have those Marauders in place, so WhiteRa's early aggression has come to a halt, but still pretty impressed with the amount of damage that he was able to do early on. And that's precisely what I was talking about. That is what you can do early game if you are against unupgraded Marines and you have gone heavy stalkers. You just can really do terrible amounts of damage to your opponent. Robotics Bay coming out, so we will be seeing WhiteRa work his way up into Colossus. We're seeing another gateway come down over here as well. WhiteRa trying to move forward, losing a stalker as a result. I'm a little bit disappointed at that, and hopefully WhiteRa does just decide to head back home right now. Really no reason to take any more losses, especially since he's not in a position to do much any more damage. Bunkers are up, Marauders are out, that stalker pressure no longer effective. But for what he did manage to do, thumbs up to you, WhiteRa. Taking a look, we can see DDE is certainly behind. We do see DDE actually starting to work down the destructible rocks. Looks like he was preparing to move into his 3rd, but instead deciding to push out right now. It looks like it will be a stim timing push for him, in fact. We do have concussive shell out already. Combat shield is coming through, though. That should not be here in time for the timing push. The fact that he's got stim pack really puts him in a position to do quite a bit of damage, so let's see if he can manage to capitalize on that. Taking out a few stalkers there in the middle with those concussive shells. No need to activate that stim pack. And uh-oh, WhiteRa dropping again, and we are going to see some more zealots in the econ line here for DDE. So heavy economic damage, and let's see if he can return the favor here. DDE set up shop right outside of WhiteRa's expansion, stimming up, taking a little bit of damage from those zealots. Colossus trying to do what they can. No more zealots here in the main, unfortunately, for WhiteRa. And let's see what DDE can do. He sniped down that Colossus. Fantastic work there. He's still got enough bio left to be able to do some damage here. Stimming up again, moving down, and actually we're going to see WhiteRa pull back as he should, moving those workers off the line so he doesn't take that much damage. He will be losing these pylons. Should be taking some damage to the Nexus here. We do have some WhiteRa warping in. Some stalkers over here. Is there any more harass going down? No, there is not. That warp prism looks to have gotten taken out. Workers getting us around, though, and the stalkers taking out the rest of the units there. Still some pretty good damage from DDE, and great job on taking care of the drop that happened inside of his main there. Let's see how much damage he ended up taking, losing a total of 11 workers. Not as bad as it could have been, and as you can see, WhiteRa has actually lost a total of 8 so far. We have 1 SCV moving out to scout right now, and he will be spotting the probe actually moving across the map, and let's see if he tries to just, yeah, he's going to move down with the Marine, but no, WhiteRa's probe deciding to head back home right now. Doesn't really want to walk into this, and watch this Immortal tear through these destructible rocks. Immortals do so much damage to armored buildings and units. It's pretty nuts. They can work through these rocks quicker than a handful of Marines are able to. We are going to see DDE work down his rocks as well as he prepares to move into his 3rd expansion. And again, we should be seeing WhiteRa move into that 3rd sometime soon. Stalkers pushing forward. Concussive shell Marauders enough to take out the one. This one manages to make it back home, but still pretty interested to see that he did that. Now that was scouting. That was for scouting purposes. I'm just surprised he decided to do that instead of taking a worker with him. So we're going to see continued Colossus production here. We also have the level 1 armor upgrade coming through right now for WhiteRa. Currently sitting with just the 1 Colossus, and there's the production tab. Another Colossus working its way on through. As we mentioned earlier, DDE moving into his 3rd. WhiteRa just dropping his 3rd right now. He will actually be a little bit behind here economically, as he's not going to be able to utilize this expansion for a little while longer, seeing as it's not nowhere near completion right now. We do have a proxy pylon coming out over here for WhiteRa as well. That will let him see if DDE attempts to push up on this area through these destructible rocks, or if he attempts to move through with a drop from that direction as well. So yes, we will be seeing Colossus play here. Continued production coming out for WhiteRa. Heavy macro going down right now for DDE. We'll move over into his base in just one moment, but Colossus Gateway, and again, that armor upgrade is coming through. DDE will be attempting to work through these rocks right now, and this should be spotted by WhiteRa and allow him to actually respond to it and deal with it properly. Really surprised that DDE hasn't moved down with those Vikings, though, as well. He could really use those against the Colossus in the likely upcoming engagement. Back over here, Rax Heavy, as expected, we are seeing double reactored starports for double medevacs as well as Vikings. So here comes the push. WhiteRa sees it, and let's see how he is able to respond right now. 2 Colossus moving through. We've got a 3rd coming out as well. Scan going down, actually spots that movement, and this is enough right now to push DDE back. He's just got way too many forces. The sentries with the Guardian Shield plus all of those Colossus. Really nothing that DDE can handle at this point in the game. He will have to wait until he gets some more Vikings and hopefully throws those medevacs into play with his army as well. Again, I'm entirely surprised that he didn't bring these with him. Maybe he was concerned about additional drops from WhiteRa and wanted to kind of preemptively deal with that by keeping some units behind. I'm just going to assume that that is the reason why. Observer moving across the map. That will be spotting this lone Marine. I wonder if WhiteRa is going to move over a unit or two to take care of that. One Stalker will really do. DDE getting ready to mobilize again, moving forward, this time with the medevacs as well as those Vikings. So finally rallying up all of his troops and getting ready for this engagement. We've got a drop coming in from this direction, but WhiteRa managed to scout it. I do not know with what. I have no idea how he scouted that, and I don't know, he's prepared for it, but at the same time, we got a push coming from this direction. So WhiteRa, maybe he just preemptively did that just in case a drop was coming, but it's coming right now at the same time. DDE was apparently looking to go for that 3rd, but has pulled back since. There we go, finally preparing for that 3rd. Here comes a drop right now. WhiteRa will be responding by pulling back all of his forces to deal with this drop. Now the issue is at the same time, DDE moving into this 3rd expansion right now. This is a tough situation. WhiteRa forced to split up his forces, moving down with enough to take care of this drop, and he should have enough. I'm not sure though. Losing the expansion. Very quick stim snipe there from DDE. He will be stimming up to pull on back and try to make it back home with those units at the same time. Redropping in the main, trying to drive that main expansion as well. Will be very close, although it does not look like he will get it. Managed to do significant damage. Now the good thing here for DDE is since he did so much damage to this expansion, he can move in for a secondary drop and snipe it very quickly. Just a few Marauders stimmed up will take that out incredibly fast. WhiteRa forced to recreate that expansion. That is very difficult for him to deal with. The Colossus tearing through this weakened up bio army here. We finally got some Vikings sniping down the Colossus. Stalkers forced to push back there. DDE sitting in a strong position so far in these engagements. He has managed to do a lot more harass than WhiteRa has, and this is absolutely fantastic right now for DDE. Taking a look at the unit loss tab, we can see WhiteRa is behind. In terms of workers lost, Meaty Owl Legs, or DDE, don't know why I call them that, DDE is ahead right now, killing off a total of 12 workers so far. WhiteRa realizing losing that expansion was terrible, and also realizing that this Nexus here is incredibly susceptible to an additional drop of even just a few Marauders. He is pushing out to try to do some damage of his own. Instead, though, getting control of the center of the map and attempting to move into a 4th expansion. That's, in all honesty, a little bit risky right now. I'm assuming, again, he's just terribly concerned that this expansion, this main here, is pretty much gone in the not-too-distant future. Once more, a single drop will snipe that so quickly. DDE has got to realize that. Hopefully, he capitalizes on that as well. Alright, so what is going to be taking place right now? We're going to see WhiteRa continuously move across the map. We do have DDE preparing to move into that high yield expansion right now, sitting very Viking heavy to deal with those Colossus, and that is going to bode well for him because WhiteRa is continuing up Colossus production. He has not made any transition into High Templar or anything like that, still sitting with Colossus heavy, so these heavy Viking numbers right now for DDE will actually do very well for him. Level 2 upgrade weapons finished right now for DDE, level 3 working their way on through. What does WhiteRa have now? He's got 2 armor. He's working on level 1 weapons upgrade finally just right now. Here comes the big push right now for DDE, moving across the map right now. The Vikings moving forward, and that's going to allow them to snipe out these out-of-position Colossus. Colossus did manage to pull back to the safety of their army right now, and here we go. DDE gets a free expansion kill right here. Really nothing WhiteRa can do to protect this right now. He's just completely out of position. He can't handle this aggression, so see you later. WhiteRa losing the 4th expansion, finally coming down with his units, but it's a bit too late now, and DDE getting ready for an additional engagement. Is he going to choose to fight WhiteRa here. This isn't the best position. He does not want to fight in the choke. Back here is okay. Look at those Vikings go to town right now. One Colossus is down. We'll be sacrificing those Vikings. There we go. Second Colossus down as well. And the third Colossus is going to get taken out. And WhiteRa looks to be losing this engagement. He will be losing the rest of his army here. Vikings landing down to help out a little bit. There's just too much bio right now for WhiteRa to deal with. Again, no return harassment at all from him. We haven't seen any additional dropping or anything like that. The constant aggression that we saw from WhiteRa in the first game, DDE is displaying here. So excellent work there by DDE, managing to claw himself back in this. It looks like this will be an easy victory for him, dropping yet another expansion. And he can just simply drop up here and seal the victory by killing off this Nexus. But in all honesty, pretty certain that he has already won. Huge advantage right now. Army supply-wise, WhiteRa so far behind. DDE will be lifting up those Vikings and then continuing to work down those Colossus. Here comes the rest of the bio, and it's just a matter of time right now until WhiteRa calls the GG. Once more, it's just far too far behind, and there it is. Great display of aggression this game from DDE, and exactly what we needed to see from him from the first two games. Regardless, though, he is back in the series right now, still down 2-1. We will be moving on to game number 4 right after this. As always, guys, if you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Keep watching and keep owning.